Opening statements are underway. Opening statements underway. The judge has finished reading the preliminary instructions to the jury. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson is now giving the prosecution's opening statements. And this is what she said. This is Sean Combs, Johnson begins, gesturing towards Combs at the defense table. To the public, he was Puff Daddy or Diddy, a cultural icon, a businessman, larger than life. But there was another side to him, a side that ran a criminal enterprise. She continues, during this trial, you're going to hear about 20 years of the defendant's crimes, but he didn't do it alone. He had an inner circle of bodyguards and high ranking employees who helped him commit crimes and cover them up. The prosecutors detailed the night Combs went on the hunt for his girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Prosecutor Emily Johnson tells the jury that they'll hear about the alleged charges against Sean Diddy Combs during his trial: kidnapping, arson, drugs, X crimes, bribery, and obstruction. These are just some of the crimes that the defendant and his inner circle committed again and again. She says during her opening statement, you are going to hear about all of them during this trial. Let's start now with one night. The defendant was on the hunt for his girlfriend, Johnson says, referring to Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Johnson says Combs forced Ventura to have sex with male escorts, filmed it, and kept the recordings as blackmail. Souvenirs of the most humiliating nights of her life, Johnson says. Johnson says Combs went for Ventura. When he learned she was seeing another man, he took his gun and his bodyguard and yelled that he'd killed the man, Johnson says. When he found Cassie, he beat her, brutally kicking her in the back and flinging her around like a rag doll, Johnson says. No, man, it's getting very graphic and detailed. Viewer discretion advised. These are the lawyers representing Combs. We don't need that right now. Prosecutor. Combs called himself the king and expected to be treated like one. Prosecutor Emily Johnson is describing Sean Diddy Combs' inner circle, telling the jury how those close to Combs helped him commit crime after crime. Together, the group worked to promote the defendant's power. They carefully cultivated and guarded his reputation, she says. He called himself the king and expected to be treated like one, Johnson adds. He expected his inner circle to cater to his every desire, including his sexual desire. And his inner circle made sure he got everything he wanted. Johnson says resources from his businesses were used to actually exploit multiple women, including by forcing them to have sex with male escorts while he watched. Okay, prosecutor is a little dark. Prosecutor says the trial will focus on these two victims. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson says much of the prosecution's case will focus on two women, Cassie Ventura, Sean Diddy Combs' former girlfriend, and another victim they'll call Jane, a pseudonym that will be used during the trial. Whoa, 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 whoa. Time out, time out, time out, time out. No, we can't do that. No, we need this Jane Doe. We need her name. We don't need no pseudonym. If Cassie's getting up there, he needs to know who this person is. Now, I will say that ain't fair at all, man. I need to know who this other alleged victim is. The defendant used lies, drugs, threats, and violence to force and coerce first Cassie, later Jane, to have sex with him in front of male escorts. The defendant insisted that the sex occurred in a very specific, highly orchestrated way. These sexual performances lasted multiple days and they involved multiple escorts, Johnson says. The defendant called these encounters different things over the years, including freak-offs, wild king nights, and hotel nights, Johnson tells the jury. Now, how the hell did freak-offs get involved when they could have been calling them Wild King Nights, YKNs, hotel nights? Who released freak-offs? All right. The prosecution says Cassie Ventura met Combs in 2016 when she was 19. Cassie was a 19-year-old model, aspiring singer, and had a hit song when she met Sean Diddy Combs in 2016. That's me and you. Now I've been waiting to make a move. Now tell me if you don't like it. He was 17 years older than her when they met. Within a year of signing Ventura with his label, they were dating. They dated on and off until 2018. The defendant started abusing Cassie early on. Initially, Cassie fought back, Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson said in her opening statement in 2009. Combs threw her to the floor in an SUV and stomped repeatedly on her face, she said. To hide her injuries, Combs forced Cassie to stay in a hotel for the next week, Johnson said. Prosecutor describes power imbalance between Combs and Cassie Ventura. Only one of them had control. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson said in her opening statement that Sean Diddy Combs' defense will portray the hip-hop mogul's relationship with Cassie Ventura as a complicated, mischaracterized by the prosecution. Johnson told jurors that they will hear that they were both unfaithful, jealous, and at times angry, but only one of them had the power. Only one of them had the control, Johnson said, and that was the defendant. And with that power and with that control, he made Cassie do his bidding in those dark hotel rooms. Now, that's what Kanye was singing about. No one man should have all that power. But Diddy had the power, allegedly, the prosecution says. Prosecutors described graphic details about the freak-offs. Combs allegedly orchestrated. Prosecutor Ashley Johnson is describing the alleged freak-offs or events where women were allegedly drugged and forced to engage in X for days and what they entailed. Johnson says Sean Diddy Combs introduced his former girlfriend Cassie to these freak-offs early in their relationship. Half of every week, Cassie was in a dark hotel room, high and awake for days, performing X acts she did not want to do on male escorts, Johnson says. In another freak-off, Ventura said, Ventura still had an open wound on her face from the defendant's most recent attack. Johnson says Combs beat Ventura to show who was in charge. He beat her when she didn't answer the phone when he called. He beat her when she left a freak off without her permission. He beat her when he thought she took too long in the bathroom. When Ventura tried to run away, Combs always found her, Johnson says, often with the help of his so-called inner circle, she said. Well, why isn't this inner circle on trial? Johnson says Combs recorded the freak-offs and used them as blackmail against Ventura. He told her he could destroy her career by releasing the videos of her performing X acts on dozens and dozens of male escorts. I mean, I don't think you would have ruined her career. I don't think she really had a career, but it would have been a revenge porn, and you definitely would have been in trouble for that. Prosecutor Combs actually abused one of his employees. The prosecutor, Ashley Johnson, says Sean Diddy Combs also actually abused one of his employees. She said Combs forced her to perform oral and snuck into her bed to penetrate her against her. What? He forced her to perform oral and snuck into her bedroom to penetrate her against her will. Combs' inner circle helped him cover up his crimes, prosecutor says. Let me see what time. All right, we got like 10 minutes. His inner circle helped him cover up his crimes, prosecutor says. The people in the Sean Diddy's inner circle worked with him to cover up his crimes, including keeping Cassie and hiding for days and contacting witnesses against the U.S. attorney. She mentioned the video from the Los Angeles hotel showing Combs assaulting Ventura. You were here. You will hear just how far the defendant and his bodyguards and his chief of staff went to get what they thought was the only copy of the video, she said, adding that they were offered a brown paper bag with $100,000 in cash in an attempt to cover it up. The prosecutor links Combs and his staff to racketeering conspiracy. My thing is, all right, if this is racketeering conspiracy, where's everyone else at, man? How are they charging them with a RICO for one person? You know what I mean? How are they charging them with a RICO for one person? Um, Attorney Emily Johnson said that the racketeering conspiracy charge against Sean Diddy Combs covers alleged plans carried out with his high-level employees and bodyguards. Together, they agreed to commit different crimes: kidnapping, uh, arson, drugs, distributing drugs to other people, exploiting employees for labor. Cassie and Jane will tell you that the defendant tried to control their lives from their homes to their careers. Johnson said how the defendant used his control over them, his lies, his drugs, threats, and violence to threaten, coerce uh, them into having X with escorts. Johnson added that the jury will hear Combs' personal assistant, who he actually assaulted. Now, there was a thing back in the couple years ago. It was like a what is it? A chef or something that said he used to walk around naked and things of that nature, and then like making her serve them during a freak off, which I thought was kind of wild. Well, not kind of wild, extremely wild. All right, prosecutor describes a text message in the videos the jury will see during the trial. Emily Johnson tells the jurors they will also hear from some of Sean Diddy Combs and other employees, including an employee Combs allegedly forced into an SUV with a gun, as well as one of his chefs and other assistants. See, that's what I was talking about. I knew back in the day there was a chef or something. She acknowledges that some of the victims and witnesses have received financial settlements or still have active lawsuits against Diddy. I know the chef, she settled out. Johnson also describing various records that will come up during the trial, including dozens and dozens of text messages about freak offs, bills for hotel rooms, car services, and damages to hotel. More texts will show Combs directed, his former girlfriend Cassie to take specific drugs before freak offs. There will also be video evidence, Johnson said. Jeez Louise. This dude. Yeah, I think he's cooked, guys. I don't know. I'm trying to see both sides, but I think he's done for. Dunsey. You will see videos from some of the freak offs, the videos the defendant used to blackmail Cassie and to blackmail Jane. Johnson tells the jury referring to two of Combs' alleged victims, his former girlfriend Cassie and a woman who is going by the name of Jane in the trial. You'll see them put on a performance high on ecstasy while they pretend to enjoy themselves because that's what the defendant said he wanted. Oh, man. Combs' defense attorney is now delivering her opening statement. So that's what the prosecution got there. They say they got text messages. All right, what y'all thinking about that? That puts us right at before they come back. So they say they got text messages. Damn, man, the thing is, once this, because this isn't going to be a sealed case. Once this case is over with, and because all we can go off of right now is tweets from people on the inside, any updates, whatever notes they take. But once this case is over with and people start getting the transcripts and they start actually getting the legal documents of all of this, we're going to see all those text messages. And there's probably thousands on top of thousands of messages